by chance. I was living in Germany. I was writing about the arts. I was writing travel guidebooks. And I wrote an article for Opera News, and they said to me, "We have decided to make you our reviewer for Germany because you live in Germany and you write for us." And I said to them, "I cannot be a critic. I don't have the knowledge or the background or the desire to be a critic." And the editor said to me, "You will learn." And he sent me to review the world premiere of Karl-Heinz Stockhausen's opera Dienstag from the Lichtcycle. And that was my first published review, and that is how I became a classical music reviewer. And that story is completely true. I didn't mean to become a critic full time, and I wrote about many different subjects until I moved back to America. And the New York Times at that point had never had a woman reviewer, and they were embarrassed. So they wanted a woman. So they looked at 3 different women, and I got it. So I was the result of affirmative action, and that was when I became a critic full time. By the time I came to the New York Times, I had been reviewing classical music for 5 or 6 years for the Wall Street Journal, for Opera News. I was not prepared for how different it was at the New York Times. The paper is big enough, and in America, the paper is the epicenter of the cultural world. And the resistance was phenomenal, and the reaction was phenomenal. And I was genuinely shocked because the year was 2001, and I thought, surely we are beyond that now. There was a lot of pushback, a lot of people taking me to task for my tone. I seemed to be very different, but I never understood quite how I was different. It was quite a learning curve. And at the New York Times, you were in any case more exposed, male or female, than you are at other papers because you just get read more. I think 60% male, 40% female is a huge advance from past years. That means we've almost achieved equity. But I think you can see there's a lot of room for improvement in the field, and I think it's really a reflection of the fact that leadership is mainly male. Both conductors and administrators tend still to be overwhelmingly male. And until that changes, we see in every field, not just in music, changes don't really happen until it starts at the top and comes down. I think we need more female leadership. I think we need more female conductors. And I think we need to embrace a different vision of classical music that is not so focused on the white male template of the 19th century. And when we start to embrace a wider definition of classical music and an understanding of music as something that reflects our society and says something about who we are, we will see the change. I believe the change has to also be deeply institutional. I think we need to either radically change our institutions or develop other kinds of institutions that are more reflective of our society, because the fact that our orchestras and opera houses are largely set up the same way they were 20, 30, 40, 100 years ago has not helped our diversity or our development to reflect the rest of society. I think that all institutions in society are reinventing themselves in the current information and internet age. We see it in religion, we see churches, we see it in newspapers, and we see it in orchestras and opera houses. I think we're all looking for new models, and it's a very exciting time. When we look back a century from now, it will be seen as a time of tremendous flux. But I'm not sure that there are models. I think it's up to us to make better models right now.